Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate S&S. So tonight we're going to do something a little different than our typical live stream. I have been looking at YouTube and they have something called a premiere. So I'm going to record this video now. We're going to release it at 7 p.m. tonight. And this way I can be involved in the chat down below, answering questions and just getting to know everybody a little better and actually join in with the dialogue. It looks like y'all are having a lot of fun when my live streams are finally been processed and all. I come back and I like to read the chats and stuff, and there's a lot of good information coming out in those, so I wanted to actually be involved in that. So I want to try this premiere deal here a little bit. Now we will still continue to do live streams. This is something I'm just kind of trying out tonight. So I want to touch back on some of the stuff that we've discussed and some of the comments that I've seen in some of our live streams yesterday actually. So last night we discussed a little bit about the Biden administration warning about cyber hacks. One of the comments, and I forget who made it, guys, so if it was your comment, great point. The Biden administration, when they warn that there is going to be some kind of an event or something is going to happen, it is usually true. Now, the way about how it comes to a fruition or becomes a fact is often not what they say. But understand, he wasn't worried about winning the election because he said that they had set up one of the most intensive voter fraud systems in history. So I don't think he slipped through the tongue. I think he told us exactly what was going to happen. We know exactly what was going to happen over with the Ukraine and Europe and stuff like that was going on over there with Russia. Told us exactly what was going to happen. Why? Because that's the narrative that they were wanting to push to get that outcome. So will our power grids get attacked? Will our water grids be attacked? Will our financial system be attacked? I'm going to have to say yes. Now, I don't believe it's going to be attacked by Russia or China. I believe it will be attacked by this administration through deep state technology and things like that. Could be wrong on it, but you know, whatever Biden says, they typically tend to do, and then he likes to point the finger and blame other people. It's like when he come into office on his second day after he was sworn in, and all his second day, guys, he come in and he crippled the fossil fuel systems here in America. That's what his goal was. He said he was going to do it, but then of course he backpedaled and said, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, that's exactly what they're doing. They're waging a war on fossil fuels because they want to push the new Green Deal and things like that. So I think it's important that we as a society realize they're showing us a narrative that they're going to get. Here's where we're at. Here's where they want us at. And they're doing everything they can. And when there's backlash from the country, naturally they like to point and blame other people. So originally they were blaming Trump on a lot of the stuff that was coming out at the beginning of his term, or Biden's term. So they can't do that with a lot of the rising prices of fuel, because Donald Trump had managed to get those barrel prices down to around $40 a barrel. So, and we were producing a lot of our own fuel here. We were actually reaching a point of energy independence, and that is not what they want to see. They want to see the oil prices through the roof. They want to see where we are dependent upon the government to put in whatever their green systems and things are. They want to get away from fossil fuels. Why? Well, because they are socialists. Fossil fuels, fuel industries, and things like that, those are capitalists. So for those who don't realize what that is, if you are a capitalist, you are typically a business owner. You are finding a demand and you are meeting that demand, and you are basically making money on it. That is what this country was built upon, is the opportunity to come up with a product or see a need and to come up with a solution and to make money. Socialism is a control by the government where they control your life any way possible. So the problem that I see with this, we'll just call it what it is. It's the Green New Deal. They are bringing it out in stages. And we knew that was going to happen because they said that they were going to bring it out in stages. And they may try to act like, no, this isn't what that is. It's exactly what it is. They're bringing it in stages. That's why there's so much conflict right now within our government as far as these budgets. I mean, we had budgets that was in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And now all of a sudden we're in the trillions of dollars with our budget. So that is not because of all the stuff that was going on. That is because they were trying to get the money to pad this Green Deal. And they had even told us when that was first brought up that it would increase our taxes and things, and over the period of time we have already seen our taxes increase quite a bit just in this last tax season, guys. And their plan is to raise the taxes so much that you will basically be working for free, and they're going to be up there. It's a communist type of regime. You get a little bit of cash for it, but you're going to have the perks given to you. The problem I have with any government controlling the power grid, power situations and stuff like that is if you disagree with what they're saying and you have, you know, your peaceful protest and things like that, they will shut your power off, they will shut off your energy source, and you will suffer. That is what it's a form of control. That's why they want energy independence. They do not want us independent. They want us dependent upon them. They want to be independent of the ability to go out and buy, you know, 40 gallons of fuel to run your generators and things like that. They want you to be dependent upon them. So I think it's important we see through that rhetoric that they're doing. So that was a great post. I forget who had made that. They tell us exactly what they're going to do, and then they do it. And then, of course, they'll point the fingers and blame it on somebody else. And they like to blame, like right now, they're blaming Putin for everything. And I don't agree with Putin coming over to Ukraine. I don't even know all the facts of what's going on. I know what the media narrative is. And every couple of days, it turns out that narrative is a lie. So I'm just sitting back, watch, see what's going to happen. I do know that situation is a powder keg, and there's reports coming out that China is now talking about invading Taiwan come fall. Are they really? Who knows? It's a very good possibility that's what's coming out with some of our, you know, secret spies or whatever and all that mess they were talking about. So, and then there's Iran that's talking about actually attacking Israel. We'll just have to wait and see, guys. We know that this is all going to come. You know, it's been spoken. It's been spoken longer than 2,000 years ago what's coming. So we know what's happening. As far as how much time do we have to put up with it, I don't know. It's better to prepare now, because even if you don't need your preparations, guys, someone is going to need those preparations later. So it's just a way to just be vigilant and be faithful and stock what you can, guys. So you may have all the food and water that you yourself need. Understand that there are going to be groups and families that form as all of this crap comes into existence. And we're seeing it happen now. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when it reaches that breaking point of society. And I think we're getting pretty close to that. People are stressed, their dollar is stretched to the last limits. People are not prepared. I mean, every live stream that we do, as far as, you know, I like to go over to Marfugal TV, Marfugal News, and interact with live streams a little bit too. And I see people coming in and they're like, you know, well, okay, so now I'm ready to prep. What do I need to do? Well, I'm not trying to be a negative person here, but if you are only just now starting to try and prep, you're going to have a very hard time, and the reason for that is the prices are through the roof. If you have the funds set back, then what you need to do is you need to go to one of these food sources. There's so many of them out there. I like to use Legacy Foods. I am not getting paid anything. I do not get free stuff from Legacy Foods, but they have one pack will feed 4 people for a meal. Or if you've got 2 people, you've got 2 meals out of that, guys. And I usually try to buy their stuff. It can be a little on the, you know, not expensive, but it costs a little bit more than some of the stuff that you're going to find out there. But because it is such a big portion, that is the way I go. Because when you're looking at how much you're actually getting and the quality of the food that you're actually getting, it's worth the money. But as far as links and things like that, guys, I don't have a link to, you know, they have a website. It's just Legacy Food. But I usually buy that stuff on Amazon. So, or if my brother, CFP with Survive Living, if he's going to be placing an order in, I usually try to get up with him and I'll tell him, okay, this is what I'm wanting with my order and stuff like that. So, but he has a lot of that information as far as he can get like discount codes and stuff for you if that's something you're looking at. So definitely check some of his stuff out. But I'm not affiliated with that. I don't really have any affiliates too much. So I think it's important that we look at what we need to do. So if you have absolutely no food and water set back, if you can start by setting water back, that's great. And I don't mean filling your tub full of water. That's a great start. But understand that you're going to need to use your tub. So you need to be getting, even if it's just the 1 gallon water jugs, those will last a while. Those are not long-term fixes, guys, because those jugs, they will begin to leak over time. The seams always start to deteriorate and they begin to leak and stuff. But you can buy the BPA free. It's the big 7-gallon things. They sell them at Walmart. I don't know what they cost anymore. I had bought several of those years ago, and they work great. If you have an RV, I would recommend you can buy the water treatments, which is basically just chlorine, guys. And you can actually put that into your water tank, and it tells you how much on that bottle that you want to add into so many gallons. So if you have, like I do, a 90-gallon tank, you know this is how much you put in there, and you know how long it will last that way. So you have a 90-gallon supply of water reserved just in that as well. And anytime I'm hearing events about, you know, major storms coming in and stuff like that, that water tank is completely used and refilled, and fresh water good to go for you know, 90 gallons will last you a little while. But I also have the 7-gallon jugs, and I like to keep those filled as well. So it's just when you hear these events, you know, maybe it's been a couple months and you need to cycle your water again. Definitely cycle your water and have fresh water again. But I think it's important that we get proactive. To sit back and make an excuse of, well, I can't really do it because I can't afford it. Well, that's fine. You know, if you can't afford it because you truly can't afford it, I understand. If you can't afford it because you don't want to give up luxuries of life to be able to afford it, I don't have a lot of sympathy in that area, guys. The fact is, the people that are prepping now, they may be setting up, and you have to understand when these types of events happen, we don't know how many years it will take to be able to get back to a state of normalcy. Now, I say a state of normalcy. Nothing will ever return back to the way it was before. So we look at the Great Depression. Even though the government said it ended on this date, it was actually years later for a lot of these other communities and states, because they were just starting to feel the effects of that. So maybe you're in a state and you're saying, well, our prices aren't going up. And I see that in a lot of videos. Our prices of fuel have not gone up. Our prices of LP have not gone up. They will go up. So if you're not seeing those inflated prices right now, don't sit back being a naysayer, you know, being a smart ass, pardon my French, guys, and going, oh, it's not going up here. Well, that's good. You need to go and stock up now, because your price hikes are coming up. The UN, the World Food Program that's ran by the United Nations, they are telling people in America, they're telling people all over the world, get food back now. You need to get your food. You need to make sure you have water. If you've got property to do gardens, if you can do an indoor garden, just a few planters and stuff, you need to get doing that now, because they're expecting that the ramifications of fallouts, the beginning stages of what's happening in Europe, are going to be felt come summertime this year. And understand that that's not the worst it's going to get. That's when we're going to see the first stages of what's happening over there within our own food, within our own supplies, fertilizers, and things like that. And maybe you don't want to keep quail and actually butcher quail. Hey, that's fine. You can use quail. They are a great resource for eggs. They're an even better resource when it comes to manure for your farms, fertilizers, and things like that to do a garden. I understand that some people do not like to butcher their animals and stuff, but I have a feeling that if your stomach starts growling enough and your stomach starts rubbing the back of your spine enough, you know, the back of your belly button rubbed against your spine because you're starving to death, those quail are going to look pretty tasty to you. But those are my recommendations. You take every avenue you can, you cut out the fat wherever you can in your budget, and you want to get prepared, and you want to make sure that you are set up for your family, because if you're sitting around going, well, the prices ain't that bad, these guys are full of it, and when things go bad, if you think you're going to show up on my doorstep after talking so much crap, you won't get a handout, you won't get a hand up, you won't get anything. You'll be asked to leave, and then you'll be forced off the property. I know that is rude, that is very, but understand, I stock and I prep for my family. Now, if God sends somebody over, and obviously you pay that blessing back forward, but the naysayers who sit back and talk crap, those people will not be welcome anywhere near my property. So that's just the way that I am, you know. That's a case-by-case basis, obviously, but I believe that people will have groups that will become, you know, they will form, and it would not surprise me, because there are some local Florida people and stuff like that on this channel. It would not surprise me if we end up all at some point down the road that we have a large community, you know, starting stuff back over or whatever. Who knows? You know, you just never really know. And it's a very dangerous mindset also, guys, as a believer, that I say this, to sit back and just go, God's going to take care of me. God is going to take care of you. He's going to take care of me. But I also believe we have to be faithful. Too many times in the Word of God, we are told to prepare. We're told to prepare. We're told, that these are the things that are going to happen. We need to prepare. So Noah, let's start back with Noah, guys. We need to prepare, sending the flood. So Noah prepares, gets everything ready. And the moment that everything is ready, and him and his family had walked into the ark, the door was shut up, and that's when destruction came. So same thing with Joseph over in Egypt. Pharaoh has a dream. Joseph comes in, interprets the dream. We're going to have years of plenty, and then we're going to have years of famine. We need to prepare. We need to prepare. We need to prepare. More recently, whenever you start reading in the Bible, we hear the parable of the virgins. You have some that are faithful and some that are foolish. And there are those that have the oil, and they're keeping the wicks trimmed and everything just perfect. And when the time comes, they're not caught off guard. The other ones are just out like having fun, doing whatever it is. And when that time comes, they're not even prepared. So I think that that's something we need to be aware of, that this mentality that America or Americans or you as a Christian, you're not going to have to go through a tribulation type of event. Now, I understand the 7-year tribulation. I see all the chat, guys. That is for Israel. America is not tied to that. In fact, in the Bible, where I read in the Bible before a lot of this stuff is happening, there's a mystery Babylon that is destroyed. Okay, that's right at the end of the church age. That's America. That is us. We're mystery Babylon. We are not a God-fearing or a God-loving country. I don't care what anybody says. There are God-fearing and God-loving people in this country. But this country, you look at our leadership, and you look at the state of what we're doing. I mean, you look at what a lot of the churches are pushing, guys. It is a mess. I mean, it reminds me of the scriptures where it says, when we get into these end times, that there's going to be people, they will not listen to sound doctrine. They're looking for preachers that tickle their ears. So that goes in different ways, guys. They don't have sound doctrine. They don't go by what the truth of the Word of God is. But also you have these preachers that are like, oh, no, you're okay. You don't have to worry about it. You just come to church here and give me your tithe, because we're going to be out here before all this stuff happens. Well, my problem with situations like that, and there's a lot of channels and things that are out there too, and they sell their DVDs and stuff, and they're like, okay, the Lord's coming back very soon, guys, like really soon, so come buy my DVD for $20. Well, if they really truly believe that he's coming back that soon, why are they selling you a DVD for $20? They would just be giving it away. I have a problem with anyone who sells any kind of prophetic word from the Lord or anything like that for money. Now, understand, I do believe that people will give donations and things like that to them, and they can accept those donations, definitely. But to start charging people for something that maybe God has told them, that's unbiblical. That reminds me of the people that were up in the town. They see what the disciples are doing, and so they try to mimic that, because they're like, hey, there's some money to be made in this. So they come out and try to cast a demon out, and they get the crap beat out of them because they were trying to make money with it. They were trying to turn it into a business and stuff. So it tells me you're going to have those types of false prophets. You're going to have those wolves in sheep clothing out here in the world, guys. But I think it's important that we step back and examine it with a rational mind, and we understand that civilizations across the globe are falling. It has been going that way since the beginning of time. Okay, Babylon is no longer here. Egypt is no longer here. Rome, as it was, is no longer here. Ancient Greece is no longer here. Now, there are remnants of that within every society, especially American society, and a lot of it's the paganism that came along with it. But we need to understand that America, I know we as Americans like to think that she is special. There is one nation in the Bible that is set apart from the rest of the world, and that is the nation of Israel. So regardless of how you feel about that, you go biblically, the nation of Israel becomes the focal point of the tribulation period. Right now we are, probably one of the last few remaining allies of Israel. And you have to understand that at a point in our future, and it's probably a near future, the entire world turns and attacks Israel. And it is up to God to save her. It is not up to America to save her, because I don't believe America as she exists today will be in existence. It will be gone. So how much of that are we going to see? Man, we're seeing it already. We're seeing the world kind of have this change in mentality over in the Middle East. But even in our own country, we're seeing people suffer. In other countries, we're seeing Christians persecuted. We're seeing Christians beheaded and things like that. So this mentality of, oh, well, no, that's not going to happen until after the rapture, that's a moot point. It doesn't matter what you believe on that, okay? The Word of God is very clear. The disciples, every single one of them that followed the Lord, every single one of them, did they die natural deaths? No. They had to die for their faith, guys. And there have been people dying for their faith for the last, 2,000 years. And we have a mentality that we're not going to have to face that situation. I think it's a very prideful thing. I used to believe in, before all this stuff even starts to really come about, we're not really going to see it. But that's just watching what's happening in the world today. That's what's happening. As far as the people that come up and they're trying to say the book of Daniel tells about a false black horse, understand there's nowhere in the book of Daniel that says that. Stop spreading them lies. Do not add anything to the Word of God that's not there. And don't take away from the Word of God. If you continue to do that, I will make sure that you no longer have any voice on this channel at all, guys. I mean, do not misquote the Word of God. That is the quickest way to get a rise out of me, because the Lord is everything to me. And this is not the way I intended this video to go, but I've been through a lot of stuff in life. And the reason I'm sitting here before you today is because of the love of the Lord and because of His grace and His peace that He's placed in my life. So when you come up and you want to push your agenda by twisting a verse, understand you are the one that the Bible warns us about that is not giving sound doctrine. So I'm not going to allow those types of things to be said in our chats. I usually remove them. And the reason for that is I do not want a false version of events and a false version of prophecy on my channel. And I think most of the people here have a pretty good grip on things. It doesn't matter when you believe the rapture is going to come. What matters is, do you place your faith in the Lord? And if you do, then you're going to, whenever that event happens, you're going to be saved, guys. But until then, we are told to be faithful. We are told to be prepared. And that's where we should be sitting at. And in that preparation, because we are being humble in our preparations, we are being faithful in our preparations, and we are being faithful in putting our faith in the Lord. He's going to bless that, which is going to be your protection. And then if you will take that blessing when He brings people across your path and bless them back, then He will expand upon those blessings. So that's the way that works. This foolishness of, I'm just going to sit here. That's fine. If you want to do that, I pray that your view on that is great. I pray that, you're not going to ever have to see anything. But let me tell you something. It is through the trials of this life that we grow in faith. It is because of the trials in life that I have faced and the situations I would not wish on my worst enemy that I have had to go through, that I have a greater understanding of the Lord's love, not just in my life for me, but toward the world. And when I see what's happening in the world, if the world treated me half the way that it does the Lord, I would have turned my back on it a long time ago. I'm not perfect. There's no way I would deal with the crap that we do as civilization. But He has long suffering, and understand that He is not being lazy in His return. He is tarrying so that all that are going to come into that kingdom will. They all have a chance. So, and when that last person that's going to get saved does, I believe that's when the church is going to be pulled out. A lot of those that are preaching this false narrative about what they believe rapture is based off what they want to be their opinion and stuff, they are the same people that are up there in Hollywood acting like after that event happens that all these people that have heard the Word of God will then repent and get to their knees. It's not even biblical. It's not. I recommend that you get in, you read 1st, 2nd Thessalonians, because if you will, those that heard the truth and rejected and embraced unrighteousness, when that event happens, it says that God turns them over to a strong delusion so that they will not believe and that they will not come into the kingdom of heaven. So, people talk about a second chance. This is our second chance in that regard, guys. So, but anyway, so we'll see how this premiere goes tonight. So I don't think I've ever done a premiere before, but it was something that I had seen on a It might have been Survive Living had a premiere one time, and I thought it was pretty cool because like, hey, how are you able to keep up with chat and stuff like you are? And he was able to, he was like explaining it to me and stuff. So I think the best time to do something like that is to schedule that on a live stream release. So our live streams are typically on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and then we are going to be doing live streams on Saturday morning at about 9:45 in the morning Central Standard Time, 9:45 a.m. And that'll just be Saturday morning brunch. It'll just be maybe drink some coffee, eating, a little bit of something, I'll do an orange or whatever I feel like eating that day, and just getting down and sitting down and talking with the subscribers and stuff, because I think we make a pretty good community, guys. Y'all give a lot of really good input, and y'all open my eyes to some things that maybe I need to study in on, and I try to get that information and relay it back to you, and hopefully a common sense standpoint, and not in a way that's trying to scare you, but to inform you of the reality of what we are facing, what is coming up in our lives. And I think it's very important that we understand that even though we may not see each other in this lifetime, guys, it's the interaction that we have now that's going to build each other up, mentally and physically, and also in a spiritual sense. So it's very important that we keep our faith. It is very important that we know how to exercise our faith. And exercising the faith, that is done in a daily manner. So I've met all kinds of people in my life. I really have. And I usually will sit back and I will listen to them talk for a while. And I try not to call people out too much in front of people unless they are perverting the Word of God, at which point I will speak up very quickly. And that may make people mad, and that's fine. I have noticed typically we lose subscribers, not a whole lot, one or two, but it's typically whenever there comes up and they have a personal belief. And if you believe God has instructed you in that, then definitely hold to it. But do not push that on other people, because if it's not scriptural, I'm going to point it out in a nice way. I will send you verses and things and point it out, and then tell you, if that is your belief, that is fine, but please do not come on to the channel and start condemning the viewers based off of what your interpretation of something is, especially when it's a non-scriptural interpretation. And then when they continue on and then they start cussing you out in a private message because they don't like what you had to say about it, so that kind of tells me where they really lay at that point. And let me tell you, man, I've been cussed by the best of them. It doesn't bother me at all. All it does is gets the little block button on there, and what that does is they can still see content, because I want them to be able to see the content. But what it does is it makes it so they can't push their propaganda and deceive anybody on this channel. And that's what I hope. And there are things where we will have dissimilar views on rapture events and things like that. Try not to talk about that too much on here, guys, but I do think it's important that we understand that regardless of when that time is, we're seeing it now. We are seeing that you need to be getting prepared, okay? There's nothing wrong with preparing now, because even if I don't need my preps, or even if you don't need your preps, there are going to be people who need those preps. So we need to do what we can, because there will be people that will actually be running from, whatever the beast system is, and maybe they're going to come across your stores, and that's going to be a blessing to them. So definitely keep prepping, guys. That's my suggestion, because I think before this all ends, we're going to see a lot more of it get worse. We're seeing the labor pains for the upcoming rise of these systems. Some people call it One World Order, the New World Order, the beast system. It doesn't matter what you call it. We know that system is coming. We see it every day. And we need to learn how to prepare for it. We need to make sure that we learn how to spot what it's doing. So when we hear, well, this is what's going to happen, why are we saying that Russia's the one that's going to hack? Well, because right now a large population of this country is looking at what's happening. We're saying, okay, well, what Putin is doing is wrong. But look at what we're doing and how it's affecting the Russian people. Look at what we're doing that's also affecting our people. So they don't have a lot of support for the war. Now, if they shut down some power grids, start messing with your money and cut off your water supply and start tampering with your food sources and stuff, it's going to very easily get an economy in behind them wanting to go to war. They're not going to care what's happening to the people at Russia at that point. So something that you need to realize is there are a lot of techniques that our government has used, and to win or lose a war, you have to have the people on your side. You can have, you know, as many troops and as much technology in the field as you want, but if you have already lost the war at home and you've lost the support of the war at home, it's very hard to win a war. We've seen that with the battles over in Vietnam. They lost the public support on that. And when our troops came back home from over there, the ones that were lucky enough to come back home, they were treated like pure crap by society. And a lot of those guys still are. So if you were in the Vietnam War, I thank you for your service, man. Regardless of why the government said you answered the call, that you were drafted and you went and you did what you were supposed to do. So I thank you for that. I hate that the country treated you so poorly when you come back, calling you the things that they did and treating you the way that they did. That wasn't right. People are sick of war. They're tired of it. But understand, all it takes is the right narrative twist, and people will jump right back on that bandwagon. So people were getting sick of the war in the Middle East, and then suddenly 9/11 happens, and now then everyone's jumped up. They've got people volunteering. I'm going, and they went over there, and then we stayed over there for so long, and people were getting sick of the war again. So how do you pull out without completely destabilizing the region and having all these groups come right back in? So that's what they were trying to do over there. And Trump was working on bringing the people back, but leaving a stable government in place. And as soon as old blowhard Biden gets in, he just like, okay, everybody run, we're getting out of here. And we start losing servicemen. They're being killed on the spot. And just leaving equipment and all kinds of stuff. And it was the messiest pullout, I think, in world history, let alone American history, guys. But this guy, he doesn't care about people. He's up there, and this is what that side of the aisle is doing. It's all about making history. We've made history today. We have the first whatever as president. We have the first whatever in this. We got the first. The fact is, if we went with the first female president over here, I don't care if someone is up to the job and they have the credentials. Hey, if you can get voted into office, then that's go for it. But it would not be the first female leader. So they seem to miss the actual historical knowledge that we're taught in school. There were plenty of queens that ran countries. There were plenty of queens, and that was typically what it was, a matriarchal system in a lot of areas during certain times. So it's not the first time that women will have ruled over a country. It's not the first time that women have been in those types of positions and things like that. It has happened throughout history. Now, it might be new for this time in our country, and I do believe we need to get rid of stereotypical BS, but we also need to make sure that those people have the credentials to fit the jobs. Don't just look at it based off genetics and stuff like that. So, but that's just my view on it. So, there was another point I was wanting to make on here, guys. I'm trying to recall what it was now. Oh, yeah, so the fertilizer shortage and things like that. So here's something we need to understand is Europe right now, and I believe we had touched base on some of this, but Southern Europe is looking at culling a bunch of their livestock. So that's talking about chickens and things like that. I'm sure there's cows and all that in there as well. Mainly because they're not seeing that there's going to be enough feed for those animals. And as you really research into that feed that would typically go into the animals, they're planning on using that to actually feed the population, and understand that's going to be like, it's not going to be wheat. It'll be your cheaper, barleys and things like that they will be turning around. So for those that are saying, oh, well, this is a fake Black Horseman event or whatever and all that, whatever, man, doesn't matter. For those who don't know what that is, it's where it comes out and wheat has gone up in price, and you can get a lesser grain, but it's still kind of expensive, but it doesn't hold the nourishment and things like that as well. So I think it's important that we realize whether it goes full scale or not is not the point. The point is we're looking at what's happening in the world today, and we can prepare, or we can just go, oh, well, it's not going to get that bad, and sit back. People were starving in the Great Depression. there were families that starved completely out, starved to death. So get what food you can. Don't pay attention to the nutritionalists that are up here telling you, well, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this. Hey, man, I understand. Try to eat healthy the best that you can and all, but understand the long-term ramifications of some of these things that are in our food. Yes, it's not that healthy for us, but it takes decades for that stuff to add up a lot of times. It only takes weeks to die of starvation. So, if even weeks. It said the average person can last about 23 days without food. Why is that? Why is it the average? Well, because quite frankly, we could all probably lose a few pounds. But you're going to find a little bit of stuff here and there to eat. But while you're doing that, you might be putting some nutrition in your body, but your body is slowly starving to death, and you will eventually lose energy. Eventually, your organs will shut down, and you will eventually die. So, get what you can. Rice, beans. If you want to buy Chef Boyardee, buy Chef Boyardee. If you want to buy the off-brand of it, then buy the off-brand of it. Definitely stock up on stuff that's going to give you protein, that's going to have carbs and stuff like that as well. Now, if it's got a lot of processed in, now if you're just going around and you're just buying macaroni and cheese and that's all you're buying, then you're probably going to suffer some long-term effects of that. But if you're eating a can of Chef Boyardee once a day, or once a week, or twice a week, and the rest of the time you're eating fresh vegetables and things that you're growing in your garden, or maybe you have dehydrated them, or canned them, or you're buying the canned foods and stuff like that, of vegetables and stuff, it's not going to be that great of an effect on your body because it has the preservatives and stuff and that other crap. As far as salt, yes, buy sea salt if you can. Everything that you have is going to have sodium in it. From your canned goods down here, guys, to your frozen chicken in your freezers and stuff, they all have sodium in it. It is something that is in our food. You do need sodium in your body, and you have to understand if you're on the move, if you're going to be moving around, you are going to need to have sodium because your body can reach a point where it depletes its minerals. I used to work at a company called Alcoa, the aluminum company of America, and you would have to take sodium tabs because you sweat so much that you actually had to replenish that. And that is the situation where we're going to be facing. You're not going to have the luxuries of air conditions and things like that. Maybe you have generators and you can run a small AC, but if you run that AC 24/7, guys, you will run out of fuel. You can set it up to run on solar and things like that, but understand at night you will not have AC because it will drain a battery bank. Unless you just have like a massive, battery bank that's larger than my whole RV. So it's going to drain out. But you can make it a little more comfortable. So you just need to look at things from a realistic standpoint. Understand it is a survival situation. You are not going to be sitting with all the luxuries of life. There will be no internet available. Now, for those who decide to go into work camps and things like that, concentration camps and stuff, and understand the left side of the aisle, they had a very big disdain for what happened in World War II, where they were taking and putting people in concentration camps based off of their race or based off the fact that maybe they were supporting communism and stuff. They were talking against that. But now all of a sudden that has swung around. I don't know if anyone has ever seen The View. It's 5 of the worst people in history, I think, up there running their mouths. But they were actually talking about wanting to throw Tucker Carlson into a concentration camp, and we need to get those things started back up. But just a few months before, they were, talking about how bad it was that the concentration camps actually existed. And one of their spokespeople up there was actually being anti-Semitic up on the stage. And when she was called out on it, this was, well, I didn't think that's what it was, but I'm sorry about it. Just don't affect my check. It's basically all it is. They want to run that mouth, and they get to run in their mouth so much they don't even know what they're saying. It's just they're trying to stir people up. So we do not react in anger. We do not react off raw emotion. Let them get stirred up. Let them do what they're going to do to each other. We sit back. We are preparing. We are prepared. And we wait. And our moment will come. So that is what my suggestion is. Lay low. Keep your head down. Do what you can. Get stocked up. Get prepared. I'm talking defenses and anything you can think of. If you think there might even be a slight chance that, okay, well, maybe I should focus on this for a little bit, then definitely. So understand with preps, it's not a situation where every day I could go out and say, okay, well, I'm going to buy a bunch of food, or even every week. So one week I might go out and I'll buy food. So I do my grocery shopping first, and I look at my budget and say, okay, well, I can put back some food, Or maybe I can go and buy some freedom seeds for my defense. Or maybe I want to start a new project here on the property, So that's what I'll do. So, okay, well, we started with the quail, we got bees, went into chickens and stuff, and doing gardening. Then it's like, okay, well, let's do some of this stuff to actually help be able to feed the birds, whether it be through mealworms for snacks and stuff, or planting millet and things like that as well. And these are little projects that don't take a whole lot of time or a whole lot of money. They might take a little time, but it's something that you can say, okay, well, I'm going to put a little bit of money toward this and maybe not buy as much food this time, or stock as much water this time. And maybe you're looking at it, so I don't have any long-term storage for water supplies. Okay, well, it used to be about $8 for one of them 7-gallon tanks. I don't know what they cost now. You'll have to look at the store, guys. Make sure you buy them that are BPA for water storage. BPA is a chemical that's used in plastic, and it will leach into it. And you're worried about dextrose and things like that. That stuff will kill you if that is your only source of water and you're drinking it all the time. With BPA, you're going to get a lot of different types of issues in your health long before dextrose or any of the added preservatives and things in Chef Boyardee or whatever can you're going to get, the salts and stuff like that. So definitely focus on potable water storage would be my suggestion. Instead of buying $20 worth of food this week, maybe you buy a couple of those containers to be able to store water, and then the next time you get your check, you can focus back on food. And you want to spread that around, so you're stocking the areas that you can stock, you're prepping for the areas that you can. Not everybody's going to be able to jump up, so I've got $1,000 and go buy $1,000 worth of food, which isn't going to get you as much today as it did 2 years ago. So it's not going to get you much today as it did a month ago. But we need to be constantly trying to improve our situation. So what those that have been with us, maybe you haven't been with this channel for a while now. I mean, we've got a lot of new subs. For everyone that has subscribed, thank you. Everyone that comments in and thumbs up and stuff, I really appreciate it. If this is the first time you're actually seeing this, definitely subscribe. And if you've got some stuff to add in, guys, that's going to help people, then definitely put it in there. If you're going to come on here and be a very, very negative person and you're going to attack the subscribers of this channel, your comments will not get seen. There are filters set up and things like that that stop the comments from going out. Just so you know, you're just wasting your time. But this is a safe community to pass information with each other. And if you're new to prepping and you have some ideas or maybe some questions, feel free to comment in here. There's no one that is an expert on all of this stuff. Most of the preps that I'm working on is what I have spoken with, family members in the past about the Great Depression times and the hardships that they've went through. And I have seen family members that have amazing gardens, and I've seen family members who can't grow anything. So I try to get information from everybody, the one that can't do a garden, but maybe they're really good at raising flocks, or whatever. So reach out to your grandparents, reach out to your, if you have great grandparents that are alive, reach out to great uncles and stuff, people that are living and at least have certain aspects of life. Get as much information as you can. We have a lot of playlists here, so I've been trying to add to the playlist. Sometimes you'll notice I'll put 2 or 3 videos out a day. Understand the reason I'm doing that is I'm building our playlists. I think it's very important to get this information out as soon as possible, so when it comes in, so this is a great training area here. I'll grab the camera, I'll grab a tripod, I'll get that on video, and I try to get it uploaded as soon as possible. And when you can watch it, that's great, but it's to get that information out there, because there are people who know everything there is to know about gardening. I'm not one of them, but I know some. I can usually grow a pretty decent garden, so I'm sharing what information I have, and that's for people that are along the same line or maybe people that are new to it. And understand that there are a lot of other things that you can do with a garden that I'm not showing, and that is because I don't really have the equipment to do it with. So I do have a large tiller where we can come in and till and plant a bunch of millet, plant a bunch of big gardens and stuff like that, but the fact is I don't have the harvesting equipment to get that stuff up when it comes up for harvest. So I'm not going to focus on that aspect, but I am looking at high yield plants. So I try to show what it is that I'm doing, explain why it is that I'm doing it, and And it's up to you to learn how to apply that into your family situation, because understand, a lot of the preps that I'm making is for 2 people, for my dad and for myself. And with those preps that are being done, I'm trying to make sure that there is an abundance coming in, because I do have other family members as well. But not just that, if you have an abundance coming in, not only are you providing for that day, you have a continual source of preps. It becomes self-sustainable, and that's what this channel is. It's sustainability. For those wondering what S&S is, it's sustainability and survival. Where sustainability fails, that's where survival kicks in. So I need to focus on making some more survival videos. Typically when I find good content, that's going to get posted over to the community post, because there are so many great resources of that. So, you know, whether it's fire building and stuff like that, I can make a lot of those videos if I need to. But typically if I find a video that's very well done, I'm going to share it to the community post. And definitely, you know, check that community post out, guys. It's going to give updates for the channel. You know, I think I started this channel back in like 2010, but it was just to be able to view YouTube. I didn't actually have any content or anything like that. And then last year I was doing honeybees and stuff, and my brother was like, you know, you really should make some videos and put this out because it's good information for people. So, okay, so I started putting it out, and we had some subscribers who are still with us today, and I hope that y'all are liking how the content of the channel is growing. And we've just slowly been adding new areas into it, been adding new content. I want to make this one of the source channels where you can go. Well, I may not be the biggest or the greatest channel, but I want it to be a channel where you can come and you can get facts. You can learn how to do these different types of things that we're getting into, and understand that we're constantly adding new content as far as some kind of a new prep. So for those that are been with me a while, I mean, I think y'all seen me go from the bees, and then we went into, I believe it was the quail. I believe. Yeah, I think we went to quail after the bees. And then we slowly started adding in chickens, and now we're doing gardens. We're doing mealworm farms, and just expanding into those categories, because when I started quail, I didn't come out and have 100 quail. What I did is I bought, actually it was this incubator over here. I bought an incubator, and I ordered 12 eggs online, and I'm like, they probably aren't going to hatch. But I put them in there, and they hatched 18 days later. I bought 12. I think I had maybe 7 hatch. It's been a while now. Maybe there was 7 that hatched. And out of that, I had 3 females and 4 males. So I'm like, okay, well, I didn't want the males to overbreed them. So, but I didn't also want a bunch of inbred birds down the line. So I took I took 2 males, and I had my females. And what I did is I just took and kept them separated. And when they got to breeding, I put them in with one in with the female, and they bred for a while. And then I moved him out, and I moved the other male in and bred them females for a while. And that is how I got my program going. And once I reached up, and it takes a while when you've only got 3 quail laying and they're just starting to lay. It can take, you know, a few weeks to get them laying every day. And I've had as many as 120 quail out there at one time. I try not to keep that many because they do eat quite a bit more food at that point. But I will try to make sure that from brood to layers, that there's always a cycle coming in. So I've always got fresh eggs. I always have the option to be able to butcher out birds and freeze them and things like that, or maybe going to do some canning with them and stuff. So it's about creating your sustainable program. So I can show you what I do here, but understand every situation is going to be slightly different. But the information I give you, I want it to be solid information on how to get your best breeding programs. So if you look online, everyone tells you 99.5% and keep the humidity around 35% for the first 15 days for quail. That's not what I do. I was getting really bad hatch rates doing that. So what I do is I keep my incubator at 100.5, not 105, 100.5 degrees. All right, and I do not add any water to the reservoir tank on this thing at all for the first 15 days. Don't put any at all. Now on day 15, at the end of the evening, I go ahead and I fill my reservoir up, and I allow my humidity to come up. And by day 17, most of my eggs have hatched. And There are a few times where you will have a few eggs that have not hatched. Look at them and see, did a bird even start to develop? Because typically what is the problem is you have too many females and not enough males, which has been an issue that I have, because I was running a 5 female to 1 male ratio out there, and I would get unfertilized eggs in my hatches. So I trimmed that to where I've got 4 females to every male now, and I end up getting a lot better hatch rates and stuff. And you can play around and breed different colors and stuff. You know, it's very simple to do that. But the more you move your birds around, you're going to stress them, and they might attack the bird that you move in. So try to keep your flocks together if you can. Just some friendly advice. But I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. I can't wait till this thing comes out tonight. We're going to hopefully have a really good time in chat doing this premiere. But definitely let me know in the future, you know, how y'all enjoy doing this. You know, did you enjoy the premiere? Do you prefer the live streams and stuff? But I think I'm going to have a pretty good gauge by the time you see me saying this stuff tonight. I will have been in chat with y'all, and we will have hopefully had a really good evening with a lot of fun content and a lot of great information coming out. So everyone have a blessed week. It is now Wednesday, and the weekend is coming up. The garden is looking phenomenal. We had some rain come in last night. It was not nowhere near as bad as the rain we had the other day. I have fresh corn growing, guys. We have our collard greens, our spinach, our lettuce coming in, okra plants popping up, our squash and stuff is starting to seed or starting to sprout. I've got my zucchini and cucumber plants there outside, and they are looking well. I'm going to give them probably till the weekend, and then we're going to make a video of planting them into the ground. I've got tomato plants, about 20 or so, back here in the shower with a LED grow light on that. And they're going to get planted out this weekend, and we'll be putting that video up too, guys. And if I could get a lot better internet reception as far as being able to do live streams down by the chickens and stuff, I've tried that in the past and it did not work. It was very choppy. You couldn't hardly hear anything. But I might move a router or something out that way, try to bridge that distance, because I think that could be fun to be able to have the chickens going in the background while we discuss some stuff. But you know, those would be some new content things that we have in the future, guys. But everyone have a wonderful week.